Welcome to Real Money Talks. Real strategies from the moneymakers and the world changers that you can use to make millions, keep those millions, multiply your wealth, and build your team. Here's your host, author of 5 New York Times bestsellers, money expert on Dr. Phil, CNN, CNBC, The Street TV, Fox News, and The View, Laurel Langmeyer.
Hi, this is Laurel. Welcome back to the COVID-19 Marketplace Awareness. Our broadcast is every Tuesday and Thursday, 12 noon Pacific. Please share it on your Facebook, share it on your Instagram, whatever social channels you're on. And we are the place to keep you up to date what's going on in the market. And specifically for you entrepreneurs who need to make money in this ever-changing time, come here with any questions you have, and we will have the answers or know somebody who does. And continue to bring you also just amazing experts just from their insight and their perspective on what's going on in the market. Today, I have Fuquan Bilal. He has founded NNG in 2012 with the principal mission of capitalizing on the growing supply of mortgage notes in the interbank marketplace. So he has a multi-million-dollar fund in alternative investing. He's an author, a father, a super guy, and comes live from Livingston, New Jersey today. So how are you, Fuquan?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, really thank you. Thanks for being on the broadcast. So tell us a little more about you. Like, how'd you get into this space is usually what everybody wants to know.
Yeah, everybody always say by accident. That actually is true. I have a corporate background. I've always been in sales all my life. Started off as actually, oddly, a telemarketer doing phone sales for long distance. Can you believe it? I was the guy who would call your house and switch your long distance.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That's when, who was it? AT&T MCI. Remember that company, MCI?
Yeah, I do.
I don't know if you remember that. I'm showing my age right now. But so, yeah, I started off in sales. I did very successful, with the position I had. They actually moved me to California, became a director of sales, ran large call centers. And then I came back to New Jersey and got into more sales with a director of sales for a computer company. And this was back like 96 to 98. Around 99, I started to shadow my cousin, who was involved with real estate, just getting involved. My older brother, he was a mortgage broker. My cousin used to buy and sell properties. Same age as me, so I started to shadow him around because it was interesting what he was doing. He was making what I was making for my salary, maybe in 2 deals. So I had to shadow him around, and we were always competitive since we were younger, and seeing how the mechanics of it worked. I took the leap of faith, and like Les Brown said, I jumped out the window and grew wings flying down, and left my corporate job and started to get into the house flipping business. And that was somewhere around 99.
What market were you in? I actually got, 1999 was my millionaire year. What market were you in?
We were in New Jersey. So we were in New Jersey just doing multifamily. Multifamily to me is anything from 2 to a 6 family. That's multifamily, not the big 100-unit buildings. The 2 to 6 families, we call those multifamily. Started, buying, fixing, and selling those. And really my strength was really to teach people how to buy houses, how to repair their credit and get an investment property. So I would do a lot of seminars, educational seminars, and teach people how to do that. And then those investors who had properties for sale, would sell these people properties. And basically I learned that I was at the wrong end of the deal. I needed to be the guy who sold the properties so I could make the real money. And once I started doing that, I realized the power that you can do with real estate. One of the things that really resonated with me early on was the power to go back into my community and revitalize, those, communities by fixing up the dilapidated properties. And that really gave me a sense of joy, knowing I can go back, because I'm born and raised in North New Jersey, knowing that I can go back and, make a difference.
Yeah.
So that's really got me excited in real estate.
That's awesome. Then how'd you get in the mortgage? That's just kind of morphed from there?
Yeah. So from there, actually, again, by accident. So
those
market crashed.
There's
everything by accident. It was never I said I wanted to do that. I stumbled across it, honestly. So, I had a great ride from 99 all the way till about maybe 2006, things started to slow down for me a little bit. I still was doing deals, but I wasn't doing as many. I mean, I was doing 30, 40 deals a year, and that was big for me. I know some people now will do that in a month, but back then, being a 26, 27-year-old kid, I mean, that was a lot for me to do 30 deals a year. So, 2006, when the market started to slow down a bit, this was before things were looming that, there was going to be a crash. Things started to slow down a bit for me, and I was probably doing maybe 10 to 12 deals a year, which I was still grateful for. And then the market crashed. And once the market crashed, I went through a personal financial hardship, was divorced. 85% of what I was doing was real estate. I had several other businesses. I was spread a little bit too thin all over the place. Had 54 employees, and really.
You know that tune? Name that tune. I know that tune.
Yeah, it was insanity. I mean, I thought I was on top of the world because I had all the nice cars and traveled and all the designer clothes and all the other BS that comes along with, you think that you're on top. And I really didn't have a good foundation. And I was flipping properties. I didn't have cash flow. I didn't understand the importance of having rental properties or having cash flow from different sources. I had multiple streams of income from different businesses, but I was pulled apart in too many directions. I wasn't laser focused. And, when the market collapsed, my main source of income, which was real estate, brought everything to a halt. So I had to restructure, do some personal digging, and basically during that process started to do short sales, and then stumbled upon the note business by speaking to a short sale negotiator. Say, hey, why don't you guys just buy the note? And we like, what? What is that? How do we do that? So once we started to learn, how the mechanics of that work, I got into the note business around 2011, invested some of my own capital, and, did a year of doing that and made some great returns. Then we're able to go to some of the investors that invested with me in real estate and created a fund and started raising capital to buy notes and deal directly with the bank. And we've been doing that, since 2011.
So 2011, you've been doing that. Are you doing residential, you said, and commercial? You still doing that too?
Residential for real estate, yes. There's residential anywhere from 1 to, right now, I think the largest unit I have is a 10-unit building. And that's only local in New Jersey. So the real estate we do is local to us, where I have the relationships. I've been doing it for 20 years. So I know people in the town, work for the inspectors. They know me from being in the business for a long time. So we only invest in 5 counties in the state of New Jersey, northern New Jersey, where I'm at. Okay. And the note business is nationwide. We deal with banks direct. We buy pools. So sometimes certain banks will let us cherry pick if the pool is small enough, or we're dealing with a broker. But the most part, we have to take down the whole pool. So the notes are national, and the across the U.S., and the real estate is local to us in New Jersey.
So let's get present to COVID, right? March hits. Tell me what kind of happened in your world and what you had to do to adjust. And then let's just talk about the market in general, what you're seeing from New Jersey and then across the country.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. So I would say around about November of last year, I started to really speak to a lot of my investors, and I was heading in a different direction anyway. I started buying properties off market, going to tax lien auctions, which was a way for me to get properties at a discount instead of just going to regular MLS, right? So a lot of people was doing seller direct and everything else, and I was trying to figure out ways on how to be in a different playing field than everyone else. So I started to go to a lot of the tax auctions and get with the townships, and was very successful with that. And I kind of came up with a concept that I trademarked. Is called Diversified Hybrid Real Estate Investing. And to me, what that means is having different asset classes in the same fund. So if I have notes in the fund, and the same fund has real property, which consists of rentals or properties that I would fix and flip. And the flips will be stuff that won't create a yield drag, stuff that needs low repair costs that I can get in and out, get on the market quickly and turn around. So I started to pitch this concept to some of my current investors, and they were like, that's great, because if my capital will be safe if I have my capital secured by different types of assets instead of one asset. So we went with that, and we created a fund, and we got the chance to test it during COVID, because, if you were a multifamily operator, the guy who runs the big building, when COVID hit, everybody was running for the hills trying to figure out if their tenants were going to pay rent. that was the only source of income they had, was that rental income. So they had to prepare and make sure they put together a plan to, make those collections, be able to pay their investors. And a lot of those people started putting money in reserves and stopped paying investors because they didn't know which direction it was going to go. If you were a private lender during that time, you stopped lending on deals, or you made your lending requirements stricter. You started to hold 1 year worth of reserves instead of 2 months worth of reserves. The landscape of everything changed. What we noticed was, because we didn't come out unscathed, we had some delinquencies with rentals and notes also, but by having a balance of different assets in a fund, we made a greater return versus if we would have had just one asset class in the fund. So it was sort of like a buffer or a hedge against any market uncertainty. And we did very well during Q1 and Q2. So I was really grateful that we kind of pivoted to that concept before COVID even happened, or even with the thought, we knew something was coming because the market was too good for so long. And we knew something was coming. We were trying to figure out ways on how to protect our investors, how to raise capital in a vehicle that won't get hurt from any market uncertainty. So the market now is on fire. I can't believe it. I've been in this business 20 years and I've never seen a market like this. It's so crazy.
So I'm going to just clarify, when you say market, I'm sorry, I'm going to clarify. So when you say market, are we talking stock markets? We teach all alternative, asset classes. So and not in a fund. I mean, we do funds, but a lot of people have straight gas and oil, marijuana projects. I mean, lots of alternatives. So our whole community is very aware of that. So when you say market, though, are you talking real estate, mortgage?
Real estate markets.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a real estate guy 100%. So our market here in New Jersey and other affordable home markets, Ohio and other areas where, values are smaller, the markets are on fire. There's a pent-up demand in the market. We saw people pulling their house off the market during COVID, afraid to let people in. There was a shortage of inventory, which, is creating this huge demand right now. It's unbelievable. I'll give you an example. I put 18 properties on the market. I listed them. And within 2 weeks, I got 12 contracts.
That's awesome.
Within 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I'm like, wow, I've never.
Is it mostly residential? Is it mostly residential?
Those are all residential, yes. All residential. We're seeing that in the owner-occupied market. So that's where it's going. People who want to buy properties to live in, people who live in those big apartment buildings, who's looking for a house with the backyard, privacy, space because of COVID. They want to be, all on top of people in the building. A lot of people migrated from New York to New Jersey. So New Jersey is becoming the next New York, essentially.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what are you seeing in New York? Are people, I've heard they're also moving down to the Carolinas. So what are you seeing just in that kind of collective market?
Yeah, people are moving out in droves. I mean, I don't blame them. They got hit really hard. And that was a wake-up call for a lot of people who were saying, hey, listen, we can actually move, pay less rent. We probably have to travel a little bit more by train. But, we'll be in the area. We move to Delaware. We move to, other places. We can still travel to New York and still commute and get the benefits of New York, but live an hour or an hour and a half away. We don't have to be in the city. So a lot of people are moving over to Jersey, which we're the closest, in droves. And that's given us, our rents are increasing over here now because people are willing to pay more, which is beneficial to, the mom and pop landlords and other people who own rentals.
Yep. What are you seeing? So a lot of our folks obviously are investors. What are you seeing in the markets there? Like we're doing, as a lot of our folks know, we're doing ground up horizontal to vertical builds in Boise. Huge demand. Again, same thing. California is moving out as fast as it can. And I think all down that first state over, right? From Boise to, Reno, Las Vegas, Phoenix, all just getting massive, just huge boom. It's awesome. Are you seeing the same kinds of things?
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of ground-up opportunities. Actually, because there's not any available product on a multiple listing, what investors are doing now is they're pivoting to buying lots and doing new construction, build-to-rent scenario. We're seeing a huge surge in that. People are doing build-to-rent. And, the lot sales are now becoming the next best thing people are going after. A lot of it was the vacant properties. Then we had, the people just really coming in and buying up a lot of that stuff and doing bigger developments, bigger apartment buildings instead of the single family stuff. So yeah, we're definitely seeing some of the same thing.
What do you see, and kind of give some prediction? I think this is going to go on for a while. Even through the election, it's the one, big asset class that's not going to be touched, although retail and, large commercial. So what do you think is going to happen in Manhattan? I mean, are you seeing people moving out? Obviously, businesses are closed. What's some prediction in the commercial and retail side?
Well, Manhattan is definitely always going to be Manhattan in my eyes. I mean, people are still going to want to travel and hang out in Manhattan. That's always going to be one of the top cities, like, San Fran and the rest of these places. So, I mean, I think Manhattan is going to take a decline, but it's going to stand strong. There's a lot of money there. So that's where the money is going to be at. A lot of, international people are moving in who, their dollar is stronger than ours. So, you have a lot of players there. So I just think that it is going to be a place where people can afford it, will live.
Yeah.
As far as vacancies, I see them having, it was a while before rents have definitely went down a little bit. They get in some rent compression there on what they can charge. They're trying to put in laws and everything of rent control. So, a lot of stuff is going to change. Like you said, when the election comes, we'll see what's what. But Manhattan will always be Manhattan. I mean, it's the areas outside of Manhattan that were coming up, like Queens and stuff like that. I'm still, part of a lot of real estate groups where guys are still doing deals, and I'm not hearing anything about stuff slowing down or coming to a halt like it was the doom and gloom, pre-COVID, during the earlier stages when no one knew what was going on. I would have never predicted what we're seeing now. I mean, I thought it was going to be all downhill from like the mid-March all the way into an abundance of this inventory that was going to come Q2 of next year. But it's just like the can is just being kicked down the road.
Well, and don't you think a lot of that's because of the mortgage rates?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the banks are making it more affordable, and we have inflation that's going to, the next hurdle.
Yep.
But I mean, is this going to be snowball? There's so many evictions that are like looming. I mean, now that they lift the moratoriums from a lot of states, we'll get to see the telltale signs, in the next up and coming months. We just need a 90-day cycle. Once these moratoriums are lifted in foreclosure and eviction to really kind of get a real sense of where things are going to be. The banks are creating programs for landlords, not to evict tenants and allowing them to refinance and do a lot of stuff. But, a lot of that stuff have strings attached. So
a lot of strings.
We'll see. We'll see where it goes.
So speak to that a little bit, actually, for the learning of the call. When you say some of them have strings attached, kind of teach those out there that haven't done that yet what those.
So I mean, there's Fannie and Freddie. I mean, they have. You definitely want to read what they're requesting of you if you're participating in some of those programs that they have for landlords now that were not able to pay their rent because of the tenants. It was like a ripple effect. Tenants don't pay rent. The mom and pop landlords, the landlords can't pay the mortgage company. So the landlords were saying, where's our relief? You're giving the relief to the tenants, putting these moratoriums. The government is giving all the stimulus money. What about the landlords? You're saying we can't evict. So the lenders started to come out with products and programs to allow them to refinance, with certain restrictions. You can't put the tenant out. And there's a lot of things in it you want to read. And you only want to use the money if you need it. A lot of people go and do these refinances just to get into a lower interest rate and make the term longer when they've almost finished paying off the mortgage. So you just want to read the fine line and see that if this is something that is beneficial to you and what your plans are, and pretty much go from there. I don't know all of the programs out there by heart, but I do know that especially if you're signing something that's related to, restrictions on how long you must keep that tenant in, you can't evict the tenant for a certain amount of time. You want to read those restrictions to make sure that you're not caught up in any of that when you go for that refinance and get the money.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So any other kind of insights to what you see in the market? What about businesses around your area? Are businesses falling down? They're falling down in droves here.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of the restaurants, are having issues. A lot of the retail stuff, like you drive up and down the highways, you drive through certain areas, businesses are still closed. A lot of businesses didn't make it to the other side. A lot of businesses that you were like, wow, They didn't have reserves for 6 months. Wow. You got the telltale signs of seeing, who really was businesses that were just not, I guess, doing business the right way. Not the right way. They didn't have any reserves. They couldn't last.
Yep.
They were doing month to month. They were just surviving. And COVID really pushed a lot of people out, especially like in the inner city. When I drop to these areas now, a lot of the small mom and pops definitely didn't make it. A lot of the beauty salons and stuff like that, you see their doors are closed. And these were operators who were living month to month. So there's a lot of those businesses were flushed out, which is creating vacancies in commercial space, which is impacting a lot of the landlords who run those mixed use properties. So we're seeing a lot of that and looking at where that commercial paper is going to wind up at once they fall delinquent. I've had a lot of note pools end up on my desk for commercial properties. I had recently where I lost the bid on it. It was 126 units, which was about 18 different properties, that consisted of 6 families, 12 units, mixed use stuff. Yep. They were trying to get rid of it for about $13 million. And the cash flow was only like $82,000 a month. And, it can get up to 126. They had a lot of vacancies.
Yeah.
So, we're seeing a lot of stuff like that come to the market now because of what happened with COVID. It's just pushed a lot of people into a different position.
Yeah. So, Fuquan, if people want to get your book or follow you, how do they follow you as you continue to weave through this amazing market that we're in?
Oh, sure. I have actually a free book. The last book I wrote is called Passion for Real Estate Investments. It kind of talks about my journey in the real estate business, where I got started to date and the types of assets I invested in and why I chose those assets. So you can get that actually. It's a free book for the listeners on your show. I have the link for you. And also you can find me on Amazon. We'd love to get, for those of you who get the free book, to leave a comment on Amazon. I'm on Instagram a lot.
Cool.
It's at Fuquan Bilal. And, I have a podcast also, pfrei.co. You can catch me there. I'm pretty much anywhere online. I kind of made my digital footprint and put a lot into that because I know, that's where most of everyone is at. And I like to connect with people, Facebook or wherever. So, they can find me anywhere. They type my name in, Fuquan Bilal, on YouTube, Facebook, any one of the platforms, and they can communicate with me there.
Awesome. And we'll make sure all those links will stay in the chat as people get them. And again, thanks for your insight. Thanks for your update. Look forward to staying in touch with you, especially on the notes. We've had a lot of, folks in different strategies in real estate, but we haven't had anybody talk about notes. And it's a different strategy that, those who don't want to deal with the tenants, indirectly they will, but they don't have to deal with them direct. So it's a great strategy. I've been doing it for years. So thank you.
I love the note business. Yeah, the best investment strategy in the universe.
I love it. Well, thank you for being on. Appreciate your insights, and we'll be back in touch.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you. And so those of you watching, this was pre-recorded for today. Any of the notes in the chat, Thomas and our team will be taking care of as well. Make sure you continually stay up to date. Share this broadcast and stay up to date on our upcoming events. We just had a graduate marketplace. Thomas will inform you a little bit more about that. And coming up is our virtual meetup and marketplace for those of you that have not graduated, not attended the course, which will be August 12, 13, 14. Highest priority for everybody. Learn to make money, be able to do it anywhere at any time. It's the teach you to fish model that you will never, ever starve again once you learn our technique. So make sure you join us. And if you've already joined us, be an affiliate and refer more people to it. We want to pack these every month and get more and more people in the world making money on a regular basis. And again, once you graduate, we will have marketplaces on a monthly basis. So you guys have a place to come back and make some cash. If you are in the big table, we are coming up very quickly on our Boise trip. It is on. We are all on our way there. We need to know if you are for sure coming. It cannot be a maybe. So do not take a seat. Between now and the end of the year, we have 2 live events, one in Boise and then in October in Kansas City. We only have 90 seats available. That's right, 90. So if you're going to both, you're taking 2 seats, which is fine. You need to be there. So these are not casually taken. I was pushing my team to even make it like a flake fee. If you don't show up, you're going to get charged. They don't want to do it. So we're trusting that you will have high integrity, when you book that ticket, and make sure that you show up in Boise or in Kansas City, whichever one is best for you. So as we move through next week, we're going to shift it up a little. I have Dr. Trin and Kelly Korsick having a market update in the health area from a world-leading doctor, and then from Kelly, obviously, on the markets and in cryptocurrencies. We're going to have a double update on that. And then next week, we'll also be talking about the Phoenix, actually the Arizona market, how that's doing down there, and just kind of keep tabs on where the markets are. And the week after, we're going to get into some very, very interesting AI, right? Artificial intelligence. Not only how is it being used for the market, how's it being used on you? Very interesting. So we have a lot of extraordinary recordings coming up on the broadcast. Mark it to your calendar. Take this little phone right here and say Tuesday, Thursday, every 11:55, have your alarm go off. Say, oh my gosh, I have to go listen to Laurel and her team. And we'll see you back. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the Real Money Talks podcast. Your host has been Laurel Langmeyer, author of 5 New York Times bestsellers, money expert on Dr. Phil, CNN, CNBC, The Street TV, Fox News, and The View. Want to learn more about off-Wall Street investing, tax strategies, and multi-million-dollar business strategies? Visit liveoutloud.com/podcast for past episodes, show notes, and resources. For some special wealth-building gifts only for Laurel's podcast listeners, visit liveoutloud.com/podcast gifts. Do you have a burning question for Laurel? Visit asklaurel.com to submit your question, and it may just be covered on a podcast episode. So stay tuned and be sure to subscribe to get new episodes every week.